Hello everybody, today we're going to take a look at one of our old favorites that's got a little bit of a new look, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it than maybe we have in the past, and that's Notability. Notability, as you can see right here, is one of I think the essential iPad apps to have for anybody in an education setting, especially somebody that's going to be doing any note-taking, because what it really allows you to do is organize your notes. It allows you to take different types of notes. It allows you to annotate on top of other papers. It really runs the gamut in what it allows you to do, and it's a really nice organizing tool. It's got to the point now where I use this for organizing all of my notes on meetings and whatnot, and I know several grad students that do as well. You can see here on this side of the screen what we get when we open Notability is a color-coded filing system, basically. So it's going to show us here our list of different, in this case it could be classes where we're taking notes. It might be meetings where we're taking notes, but we've got them. We can file things away in these different categories. To add a new category, you would just tap the plus key up there. Once we're in a category, and I'm going to go into my Universal Design for Learning notes, to add a new note you would hit this blue button over here that has a pencil in it. I have several notes within here. I'm just going to show you kind of how this works. I'm going to tap on this first note and open that up. And what we're going to see here is a toolbar that pops up across the top of the screen. These are your main note-taking tools. You've got a T for text, that's for typing. You've got a pencil for writing. You've got a highlighter, an eraser, and scissors. If we hit the T button for the text and we want to begin typing, and we tap where we want to type, you can see the keyboard pops up. Now right on the keyboard, there's some cool things that are added onto the keyboard only in Notability. If we look right here where it says Gil Sans, that's font. If I tap that font, you can see I can pick one of several other fonts that I can type with. Next to that, we have the size of the font that we're typing with here. We've got the color of the font we're typing with. We've got bold, italicize, and underline. And we can choose a settings within all of these and then save them in A, B, and C here so that we can have our favorites and we could go directly to a different font. So let's say I want to type in blue and save that as a font B. Now I have my B font saved as that. So if I go and hit B, actually I already had saved the B font, so I go back to what I had before. So I can save my favorites within these. The other thing we have over on the far side is bullet points. If we want to add bullet points in the form of numbers and letters, dots, or just an outline format, we can go ahead and we can set up our notes as an outline. That's what we would do to type. I think the most powerful complement to typing is the audio component of this. You see here there's a microphone. With this microphone, if we go into class and we tap record, it records everything the instructor's saying. When we type a note then, while it's recording, and only when we type, not with writing or anything else, but only when we type, it links what's typed with what was recorded while that was recording. And so we can then, this is where it becomes real helpful for folks with disabilities. If they struggle with writing down everything they see on the board, keeping up with the teacher, they can record the lecture, write down keywords for their notes, and then go back and tap those keywords to play back what the teacher was saying about those things. So here's how that works. When we play it back, I'm going to go and I'm going to tap the play button here. Now you can hear it's playing. Now if I take my cursor or I'm using a stylus and tap on any of these notes I've typed, you're going to see it's going to jump to another part in that recording. You can see it changed where it jumped to on the line. You're hearing the different parts of that recording as well. I'm going to pause that. That's a really powerful tool that we've got in here. That's a great piece for note-taking. Along with that, I'm going to show you there's a couple other things we can do. If you tap on the pencil here, you tap on the pencil, using the pencil we can write notes within our notepad here. So we could write, you know, this is a test. If I'm doing this, however, right in my notepad, that's awfully large. That's big writing. That's not going to be very conducive to taking lots of notes or to going back and studying. If I want to make that a little bit smaller and more the size of the other text on my screen, what I can do when I'm writing is I can go to this bottom corner and tap on the magnifying glass. When I tap on the magnifying glass, what you'll see appear up here is a little zoom window. So with that zoom window, shows everything zoomed in right here where you happen to be writing. So I can take that zoom window up here and I can move it to an empty area, and now I can start writing something within the box down below. When I write it in the box down below, you'll see it appropriately sized on the screen. What's nice about this as well is that when we are writing, and you get over to the far side where you see this green area, as soon as you write in the green area, it automatically slides over, so you can continue writing. Right within that line without much wait time at all. So it's a really neat way to note take. This happens to be the way that I take a lot of my notes right now. The downside of this is when you do the writing, it doesn't change, or it doesn't link to audio if you happen to be recording at that time. Only typing does, but the writing is a really nice component. Also, if you're doing the writing, you probably want to have some kind of stylus. It's a little bit easier to write with a stylus than it is with your finger. If you hold down that blue pencil, you're going to see that you have lots of options for stroke size, color. You can change lots of different things, and you can really customize this note-taking capability to what you want and what you need there. So that's really nice as well. When you're done writing, you go back over here and you tap on that magnifying glass again, that zoom window goes away. You'll see if you want to erase something, you tap the eraser up top. When I tap the eraser up top and rub over what I've written, it will erase that stuff for me. Another option next to the eraser is the highlighter. If I hold down the highlighter, you can see I can change, just like with the pencil, I can change stroke size, I can change the color as well, and then I can go ahead and I can highlight things that I think are important within my notes, and you'll see that highlighting pop up there as well. So lots of cool things that we can do with note-taking. Where I think this really, starts to differentiate itself as well is we've got all those options, but on top of that, we can really make these multimedia notes if we want to. And we can do that by going to the plus key here. And I guess before we do that, let me show you something by the wrench. If I tap the wrench and I hit paper, I can choose different types of lined paper, graph paper, different backgrounds here, so I can really set this up to look like a notebook if I want to do that. But now I'm going to go back to that plus key. With the plus key, so you can add lots of media to this. You can add a photo. If you add a photo from the top option here, that goes into your photo gallery within your iPad, and it allows you to pull photos from there. If you're a student that wants to take down everything that's written on the board and you can't do it fast enough because there's so much there, you could hit take a photo. That allows you to use your camera on your iPad, and it allows you to take a photo and add it into your document like I have here of a board in my office. If we go back to the add, you can add a figure. So adding a figure allows us to go ahead and we can draw a figure. So we'll maybe draw a graph like this, and I can change colors of the stroke again. Draw a graph, and then hit done, and that allows us to add that graph into our notes also. We can also add a web clip. If there was something from a website that somebody thought that they wanted to grab, if an instructor was talking about a website, you can actually go in, and this is what I've done here with Student Disability Services. You can hit the add, go to web clip. It takes you right to a web browser. You type in the site you want to go to. Let's just do uiowa.edu. We'll go there. Brings up uiowa. We hit done, and that allows us to put that web clip directly into our notes. So now, if we wanted to visit that, we can hit the web clip, hit browser, and it's going to take us right to that web clip that we've added in here. So you can get directly to that if they're talking about an important web clip in class. There are some new things that have been added to this as well. This is now available on all of the Apple devices. So it's available on the iPhone, it's available on the iPad, it's available on the iPad mini. You can take notes on any of those. It can sync to iCloud, and then it can be brought up and viewed on any of those as well. So if you're using your iPad typically to take notes and you forget it and you have your iPhone with you in class, you can use the phone that day and you can still view those notes on the iPad. That's one of the big things that has changed in this. Another thing that's changed in this is that some of the ability to manipulate text. So let's say I wanted to label this Student Disability Services web clip here by writing, and I just wanted to write SDS. So I write SDS, but what I really want to do is I want to rotate that and make it vertical next to the web clip. What I would then do is I would go and hit the scissors button and draw a circle around that text. And now I'm going to take my fingers, and with my fingers, if I want to rotate that vertically, I'm going to twist like a dial on the iPad, and it's going to twist and it's going to rotate my text. Now I can also slide that text over, move it to where I want to go, and then if I use my fingers in a pinching motion, I can make that smaller, or I can make that bigger if I want to. I can figure out what size I want and leave it there. I can also hit Style, and that allows me to change the thickness. It allows me to change the color. I can change whatever I need to change about that text to make it show up a little bit better. We can get the right, there we go. Now you can see what I'm angling for there. And as soon as we tap out of that, then that stays the way it is. So this is a great note-taking tool. If you see down at the bottom here, there's a little hand. If you have the problem of resting your hand while you're writing notes on the iPad, if you hit that hand, you get a little palm guard, and you can click and drag on that on the tool on the far right. On that 3 lines, if you click and drag on that, you can increase the size of that palm guard. And what that means is you can rest your hand on this, and it's not going to affect anything you're doing with the note-taking app itself. So that's a nice feature as well. Not one that I particularly use a lot, but that is a very nice feature. The other thing I want to show you is that once you're done taking notes, see that arrow coming out of the box? If we tap on that, we can email this, put it in Dropbox, Google Drive, Twitter, whatever. We can send it out to just about anybody, anywhere, and share those notes fairly easily. The other thing that we found that a lot of people like about this, and I'm going to show you here, is that you can import things from other sources using this arrow heading into the box there, the import button. You could import from Dropbox or Google Drive, and you could pull in something like a PDF. So here's a PDF. You know your instructor is going to be talking about this PDF in class, so you want to be able to take notes directly on it. You can pull that PDF into your iPad, and now you can use your highlighter to go through and highlight important names that you might have to remember, or you can use your pencil to write in important notes that you might have to remember for class, or we could even go ahead and we could type notes into this as well. So there's lots that we can do with annotating PDFs, annotating anything that happens to be in Dropbox, on Google Drive. We can pull that into Notability and operate with it within there. So there's really a lot of cool things this can do, and I think it fluctuates in price sometimes. I think right now it's $2.99. For $2.99, this is a fantastic app. It's a great app. It's a must-have, I think, for any college student. I think certainly students with learning disabilities that might struggle with note-taking, this is going to be an excellent thing for them as well. Again, you can see there's lots. You can save. So if you're going to import a Word document, what you want to do is you do want to save it to a PDF before you import it. So save it to a PDF, put it into Google Docs or into Dropbox. You want to do that because one of the things that it does is it's some of the symbols that you want to bring over from Word don't necessarily translate into Notability. And one of the issues that one of my grad students ran into was in stats class, where she was having that issue where some of the symbols that she needed to see weren't coming over in a Word document. So you got to save it to a PDF first, then bring it into Notability if you want to see everything that that's supposed to be there. That's kind of the one downside. So again, that is a drawback. The other drawback is that your handwriting does not link to recorded audio. But otherwise, this really is a fantastic app, one of our favorites, and one that we're glad to review for a second time here. And I think that's about it. As always, if you have any questions on this, shoot me an email at james-stachowia